What was your biggest lesson from COVID?
A lot of stories and incidents happened during COVID.
649 the total active corona positive cases in India.
अभी के हालात को देखते हुए देश में ये लॉकडाउन 21 दिन का होगा.
You know, while we were struggling with sales, people who wanted to go back to their hometown on their own, I let them go. But I was paying salaries to my employees throughout COVID. Peak of COVID, when everything is shut down, I see these orders coming in on the website. I'm like fretting over it that, oh my God, orders, they'll expect me to send by 5 days, 7 days. And so I tried all my way to cancel the orders, okay? The customer would not budge. I called them up, I said, what are you all doing? I mean, you know, the logistics partner is not working. My karigar is not coming to work. When they figured out that, okay, this girl is not understanding, we know that you have a cash flow issue now. Just stay put with the orders. You can send the orders even 1 year later. So the trust that they had on me and cash flow issue didn't even surface in my mind till then. But they thought of it and were like ready to place orders just to maintain Prathaa's cash flow. Albon moment where you know I knew I had to do something. Then I figured out, okay, I can do this. My customer research and all of that, market research. Okay, and then when I was sure what I wanted to do, my first 5 to 6 visits to the villages was rejection.
But you're getting them work now?
The weavers, you know, they loved me because they knew me before, like during my travels and all of that. They didn't want to work with anybody from the city.
I need to tell people that, you know, when something is printed, it's just a print. It's just colors. And you know what? But here a weave is actual. Like they are first dyeing the yarn, drying it, putting it in that, and the design is woven. And you know, so weaves, that's why are expensive.
And you know the beauty of handloom, what it is?
Welcome to another edition of the Evolvement Podcast. You are meant for leadership. You are a leader. And that is why you are now seeing the Evolvement Podcast and you're a regular subscriber. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, subscribe right now. Today's episode is amazing because my guest is someone who has different feathers in her hat. This is a person who is an IIM Bangalore pass out, but yes, she is much more than that. She is an expert in brand marketing. She has worked for Kotak Mahindra Bank for their brand marketing, headed the entire department. But when she chose to move out, she chose to start her own business, and yes, she has brought her own flair into her business as well. And today we meet a successful entrepreneur who has taken an idea for reviving Indian handlooms and made it into a successful business. We meet Sukanya Bhattacharya. Hi Sukanya.
Thank you, Vrin, for such a lovely introduction. And it's my absolute pleasure to be present in your podcast.
You know, Sukanya, when we met quite by chance, you know, and I'll tell you what was really inspiring. I love the vibe that you just got, and that is definitely there today as well. So,
thank you.
Okay. When I asked you, you know, what do you do? And you said, you know, I am reviving Indian handlooms. Immediately, like that was, it just came to me. I said,
it
wow.
It just like struck you like that.
Yeah. It's like it gives me goosebumps if I even think about it. And I don't know whether you're aware, but I have done fashion designing as well. Okay, so there is something, a bit of me which is involved. And you know, when you started Prathaa and you said Prathaa weaving traditions, that was like such a lovely idea. But what does it take for a successful corporate career person? You're heading your department, you have such a prestigious role, you know, you're heading marketing development, and now you move on to start your own business, and that too in a very difficult industry. What was the change? Why the change first?
So Vrin, first take up what and then why.
Okay.
So it was a very transformative shift, you know, if I have to put it in one word. It was like a shift from comfort to courage, you know. It was like a huge shift from comfort to courage. It was a shift like a, you know, transition from managing tasks to building your dreams with a purpose. So yeah, I mean, the transition was exciting transformative, but not easy.
It's
yeah,
never
not
easy.
easy at all.
Anything meaningful is never easy.
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're decided on something, it tears its way past very comfortably. And now, why you mentioned, why I shifted to entrepreneurship. Like, unlike a lot of my peers in the industry, I hear a lot like, oh, I wanted to get rid of my 9 to 5 job. I wanted freedom, so I started a business. So for me, it was never that way. I'm always thankful to my corporate career. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot in my corporate career. And I have actually executed a lot of my corporate learnings out here. But having said that, while you're going through your day-to-day work life in corporate, there comes a time where you pause and reflect. Are you really creating any impact personally and professionally? That would always play in my mind, and the answer was not a positive always. But years later, a turning point happened, which I think we would discuss along our journey of conversation today, where Prathaa took birth, so...
But it's I'll tell you what, I think of all the businesses, I think all are difficult, okay? I was recently having a conversation with someone who's a business owner herself. She's an entrepreneur, and she actually told me, she said, I was thinking that my business is difficult. She's a distributor for things, but she's saying, I look at people now in manufacturing, theirs is difficult. I look at people in service, but theirs is difficult. See, you're starting something new. It's a new baby. It's going to be as difficult as delivering a child.
Absolutely.
So that is going to take its own sweet memory, moments, everything, and tough. It's going to be a challenge. But Prathaa, I mean, personally, if you ask me, building a brand now, we are a clothing brand. There's so much competition in the market. I don't think anything is left to discover. And in such a manner to start Prathaa, how did you distinguish yourself?
So, for any startup, for that matter, for any business or anything you're starting new, there has to be a clarity of purpose. Defining the why of what you're doing is very, very important. And I was very clear about why I wanted to start Prathaa. That gives me laser focus on what I don't want to do for Prathaa.
Okay.
So today when we speak about, like, people ask me, who are your competitors? Okay. Even you mentioned, right? So many clothing brands, could be competition. How do you? So for me, competition is more of, if I have to define, okay? Competition is more of the fast fashion brands, not an immediate sustainable brand or a conscious fashion brand who's working in line with me, because I am a drop in the ocean, okay? I can create only so much change. It's only once all of us collaborate in some manner, even if not joining hands, collaborate in terms of speaking the same narrative to the outside world or to the customers, the ripple converts into a wave. That's when the movement starts.
Correct.
We did differentiate ourselves by not trying to, obviously we are into business, we sell products, but selling a product is not like upfront, We take potential customers through a storytelling journey, We educate our customers about what they are buying, the details, the process behind the scene, the people behind the scene, so that they're equipped to make mindful purchase. So it is not just a transactional relationship,
Right.
It is long-term relationship that we build with customers that leads to a certain level of trust.
So it's not, because here it's not just you all are selling and somebody is buying. Here, the way I look at it is, there is a weaver who is in a village who is making something.
Absolutely. The weaver is the hero of our story.
Correct.
We exist because of them.
Exactly. And y'all are just transforming the product and y'all are bringing it to the end customer. So there are actually 3 people involved now.
Yes.
It's such an amazing thing.
Yes.
And why this love for weaving and weaving
this
traditions?
This is a story I love narrating, and I can go on and on if you have the time. But yes, why Prathaa? Okay, it all started with my love for travels. Okay. And a parallel love for anything artsy, crafty. I think that was inherited from the family or the environment I grew up in,
Yeah.
So while I was a traveler, I am a traveler, I'm not a tourist. You
Okay.
understand the difference between that. So I don't have a to-do list, checklist to be, fulfilled before I leave the place. Having said that, I would, during my travels, I would always do a little bit of research of the art and craft of the region.
Okay.
I would try and make sure that I explore a little bit of that when I'm there at the place. And the initial years, the young, late teenage years, I started traveling very early in life. Solo travels with friends. So young years was like the excitement transformed into buying, purchasing stuff. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. Buying. Okay.
Right.
A little mature me, the young adult me got into understanding what goes behind it. That I was still in my corporate job then.
Okay.
And thankfully, my corporate job also had a lot of travels. Like it involved a lot of traveling.
Right.
Okay. So understanding, talking to the weavers. So it was a little matured up. Till a more matured me was struck with the reality that a lot of these heritage weaves and art are fading into obscurity.
That is so true.
Yes. And the next generation not interested in pursuing this as a profession. They're studying computer science, multimedia, because they don't see commercial viability in this.
You're so true.
It was one of the villages of West Bengal, interiors of Bolpur, I remember. It was a fuse off and a bulb on moment, It's like a moment of, a spiraling down, ki what is happening. And then it's like, why not, And that's where, do I find a purpose here? I never had that answer.
Yeah.
And somewhere I found a purpose here. And then I didn't know what I would do, what I could do. I just wanted to do something. Okay, I didn't even know, and then I created the name Prathaa, weaving tradition. Didn't know the way forward.
Right.
We didn't know Prathaa is going to be a clothing brand then.
Acha,
But
okay.
the core purpose of whatever Prathaa does is going to be reviving forgotten weaves and art and providing sustainable livelihood to these small set of weavers who we are in touch with.
Correct.
So we knew the why of Prathaa. We didn't know what and how.
Correct.
Then,
And
okay?
that's what Simon Sinek says. They always start with
With the why, yeah. And again, unknowingly, I started with the why. I read Simon Sinek's after that.
Right.
Okay. And then I got back to the city. Okay. I was still in my other work, parallel work mode. But I got into my bit of research, consumer research to figure out that is there a market at all? While my gut feel told me there is a market, I love handloom, cotton and heritage weaves. I have friends who love, but that's not the full market. You know, so I had to explore. I did my research, and I figured out there is a market waiting out there, unaware of the realities or the beauty of heritage weave that lies there.
Correct.
They are spending bucks buying the so-called heritage weaves, but some fake ones.
Yeah.
So that's when I stepped in. I thought, okay, let me just try and revive this, educate the customers through my process,
Right.
and try and join the two ends of the spectrum through a platform which is going to be Prathaa.
Lovely. But you know something, I'll tell you what, even I think the best ideas always come from bridging this gap.
Right.
It's like when I have met so many entrepreneurs, founders now, and the most successful ones, the ones where they leave a legacy. That's what I tell people. They are, they will find the gap first.
Absolutely.
They say that, okay, this is happening, but I wish someone would come up with something like that. And that is the bulb on moment. If someone hasn't come out, let us do that. I mean, literally, if you ask me, one of the major reasons for me, so I was into training and development, and I was into HR. I've headed HR for 2 companies. So the main thing I would see trainers, I was like, they're not customizing training. And they're not adding the spiritual element into the training. And that is why people are not growing, and the toxicity is like affecting them, and company cultures are getting affected.
So you were in the middle of things and you identified this problem,
Yes.
right? And then you moved out and you
I
started.
said this is something that, and I was mentoring people, and even during my HR days, I was already mentoring people internally. I was talking to them, I was because when you're in HR, all the grievances come to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was the grievance auntie, like so she's like anyone just come to her, and I would handle it. I would give them ways and mean suggestions, and I would mentor them across the few months. Let's
Okay.
do that. Let's do this, and they started getting successful, and I was like, okay, so that there is a gap there. My methods work. It's like so. That's why I come up with my own. So I think that is the gap which you start identifying.
Right.
This is the gap, and why isn't someone coming up with something?
Right. And coming from a marketing background,
Yeah.
I didn't jump into it just like that.
Right.
Okay. I did my bit of research. I did my bit of, qualitative research, dipsticks with
Right.
customers and all of that. And had data to qualify it.
Huh.
And that's where I build up the strategy that, this is how the approach should be.
Yeah, but you know what? I think what you have brought to the table is, see, you went into this entire startup mode. And because of your startup also, you started becoming a startup consultant for people.
Right.
I think, you're not just doing one thing. You're like, the wearing two hats
But
now.
I think just one leads to the other, Vrind. The startup consulting bit also started very organically.
Okay.
Like few of my personal traits, okay?
Huh.
Like from a very young age, like I never hesitated helping out people or not sharing things with people, being secretive, because I'm very safe in my, I feel very safe in my skin that way.
Right.
Okay, and I feel that, okay, if this bit of information is going to help her, why? I mean, there's no harm, sharing it. So I think this nature of mine clubbed with maybe Prathaa going to a certain level where people knew about Prathaa. It was around COVID time, a lot of startup founders started reaching out to me saying that, oh, we just started the brand and now there's what.
Right.
So I think it was like an ecosystem we formed, and we were like, I was just trying to keep them motivated through the journey,
Correct.
although it was a very tough time.
Huh.
And then post-COVID also this continued. Like, Viren, if you just get in touch with me and you tell me, oh, Sukanya, you know what, I'm facing this problem with my business. What do? I give you a quick answer, and you could be effective, which could not be effective.
Right.
And then you go on with life. Okay.
Right.
Then I don't know, whether it's worked for you. You don't know whether it's worked for you. But we did spend that, even if it's like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we did spend that time talking about it, right? So I felt that, we should be structuring this a little bit.
Okay.
Because there has to be more meaningful exchange of energies here.
Correct. Right.
That's how I ended up structuring my the consulting bit, and then giving them a proper questionnaire before the first meet where they reflect a little bit on their business, come back, so they have their questions structured. I give my customized inputs that way, because no two businesses are same.
Correct.
I cannot give, like, there would be like an overall framework, but what works for you may not work for me.
Correct.
Right? So that's how it transitioned. It was a very organic thing, and I love doing it. And here in the structured format, it's motivating for me when I see businesses
Growing.
move northwards because of this. Just how you mentioned, right, that you counseled employees and you saw them growing. It is such a feeling of fulfillment, right?
Definitely.
So, yeah.
They are my family.
Exactly.
I mean, believe me, I have people, like 10, 15 years back, I would have mentored them. They still get in touch with me. I'm like Vreen ma'am. I'm like this aunt. Like, anything is happening, we have to tell her. Because she knows and she will definitely appreciate us. That's the logic. So, when you come and you're now, you're counseling these people and your own experience as an entrepreneur, what are the traits of an entrepreneur that you feel are indispensable?
First, I would repeat what I already mentioned: clarity of purpose.
Okay.
The why of
Why
what you're
is
doing.
important, right.
So that is very important, because that acts as a north star in your business. Like when you're into the business, even like 10, 15, 20 years down the line, having the why clear helps you take a lot of because decision making is a constant process in business, right?
Correct.
And it gets tough at times. But that North Star helps you take a lot of decisions this way or that way. Once you're very sure that this is my why and I am not going to budge from the why.
Right.
Everything can change, but this will not change.
Wow.
Okay. So that is
Clarity
one.
of thought.
Clarity of
One.
purpose.
Yeah,
Okay.
purpose.
Second, I think resilience. Okay,
Oh,
because
wow.
trust me, it is not. It is a roller coaster.
Correct.
Okay, it is a roller coaster. So we need to be very resilient in the journey. Okay, I think you get better with time. Okay. The third thing I would say is adaptability.
Lovely.
Because as entrepreneurs, we wear different hats at different hours of the day, different every 15 minutes of the hour we are, like I am the HR department, admin department, accounts department. Then I'm like coming and shooting with you here.
Yeah.
And then it's like
No, adaptability
you stretch
is
yourself
very
very thin,
important,
and
yeah.
you have to switch roles like this.
Yes.
Like I can't be coming here and cribbing about like on your podcast and cribbing about maybe a tiff I had with my accountant right now, like maybe 1 hour back,
Right, correct.
Or maybe like I have a shoot. In fact, I have a shoot scheduled tomorrow, 4 o'clock in the morning. We have to leave, so I can't be thinking, oh God, I have a long day tomorrow. No, I have to adapt to this moment now and adapt to that moment then. Okay, so adaptability, and also like good times, bad times. It is not only about changing of hats. We have peaks, So you have to, just embrace it and move on.
Amazing.
Okay.
That mindset. I think
Yes.
somewhere moving out from, so I've been working with so many founders and business owners and professionals. The one thing I see that one trait which doesn't get you growth is being entitled.
Absolutely.
The 1 minute when you're like, no, I have to get this or I need this, that entitlement that you start, and believe me, then the downfall starts.
Exactly.
I've seen those things, and when I find, and by the way, when successful entrepreneurs, when you meet, there's a zest for life. You're working not just for money, the end result. It is you're working for the brand, like working for what you believe in.
Yes, and that is was my fourth point. Passion is something, you need to have passion for what you're doing.
Yeah.
You can't just start off something just for the, isme paisa zyada hai, ye chalu karte hain. No, that is which fuels all of the above what I mentioned.
Yeah, because end of the day, you be happy with what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like there are times you're working 15, 18 hours a day, trust me. But you're tired, you're exhausted, but you're happy.
You're happy.
No,
I have definitely,
then,
I can feel that because I was successful in my job, everything was great, there's nothing wrong, but I wasn't happy. End of the day, that I'm not doing what I want to do, somewhere. And when you said 9 to 5, mine was 9 to 8.
9 to 5 to बोलने के लिए है, yeah, that's what. I remember the days we used to leave at 5 o'clock. लोग पूछते थे आज half day है क्या?
You're not alone because I remember I had Prathaa Bajoria for the podcast as a guest. She has her own ad agency in Jaipur. She said the same thing. People leave at 5:30. People like half day. I was like, ये क्यों बोलते हैं? So this is a very common thing across, I think, all industries. I think people do that, but. But the switch that you made now from marketing to your entrepreneurial journey, what is the flavor that you brought to Prathaa? So one is the actual, you're reviving weave. But as a marketing person, you always have that differentiation. How do you define yourself? How is it different? I would like to know a little more about that. How did you make Prathaa different than others?
So again, I think I mentioned this a little earlier in the conversation that Prathaa is not a transaction. While we are here to do business, otherwise we would have opened an NGO. We are definitely here to do business because we need to sustain the weavers out there.
Correct.
But our style of interaction is very different. It is not about just promoting the products.
Right.
We get into a narrative of getting customers engaged in the conversation that we start on the products, on the weaves and all of that. It is more of a two-way journey than a one-way journey of just, selling the products.
So how do you get this message across to your clients? When you're describing the garments, do you mention the weave?
So
I have seen the descriptions that you all do.
So we do a lot of behind the scenes.
Okay.
We actually show them how the weaving of, like if you're wearing this piece of garment, okay, the birthing story of the garment is the customer is taken through that.
Wow.
Pre-purchase, the design's narrative of the garment. Okay. First the birthing story of the weave, then the design narrative of the garment. Okay. Along with a lot of styling options, like for us, it's very important to make versatile garments. Like every product, every design of ours caters to at least minimum of 3 different styling.
Okay.
Because we believe in that more, versatility and more wear per garment and all
Right.
of that. But coming back to this, so this is pre-sales, right? On the website, you will see a lot of description on, again, at the end of the day, we want the customer to make a mindful purchase.
Correct.
Okay, and then when the garment reaches you as a customer, okay, there is a write-up on the behind the stories, on the weave,
Okay,
and
correct.
the story, the birthing story of the garment, it goes to you.
Okay.
And other than the knowledge bit, like upgrading the customer on knowing what they're wearing, making mindful purchase, I think a woman always likes, having a good conversation piece when they're like, if I'm wearing this to a party,
Yeah.
okay, and somebody compliments me on the top I'm wearing.
Right.
Okay, if I have 15 minutes content to talk about the top I'm wearing,
Right.
or the dress I'm wearing, and solid content,
Correct.
and which people are in awe of, oh really?
Right.
So it serves the purpose of the customer where there is a conversation piece around the garment she's wearing, and it educates 5 other people out there. That's a subtle way of taking it forward, but it happens. So I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah.
with that.
So yeah, that is So you're kind of conveying the entire
So it's
back
a 360-degree approach that we take.
Like normally we just go and buy something, but we have no idea where it's coming from, what is the history, what is the location. Here you have, I think there's a connect which is building up for that thing.
Right.
Okay, so when you started out, how did you, so obviously you met the weavers and all, and how were you able to, because obviously I think the designs, what the weavers were earlier doing was very, very traditional. And now the designs that you all are doing are little contemporary. How did you convince the weavers, and how did you get in touch? How did they start making things as per you? Did you do that, or did you not do it?
No, we did that. But
I think you would have, because
Yes.
your
So the
traditional weaves
design
are not your
intervention-
khadi, bhandar and all. No one would really wear those.
Right.
Your clothes look very different.
Right.
Yeah.
So the design intervention starts right at that level.
Right.
But let me take you back to the not so sophisticated story of it, okay?
Okay.
So like I told you that, the why of the bulb on moment where, I knew I had to do something. Then I figured out, okay, I can do this, my customer research and all of that, market research. Okay. And then when I was sure what I wanted to do, my first 5 to 6 visits to the villages was rejection.
But you're getting them work now?
The weavers, they loved me because they knew me before, like during my travels and all of that. They didn't want to work with anybody from the city. शहर से किसी के साथ बात नहीं करना, काम नहीं करना है, because they've been duped a couple of times. They've been given wrong promises. Duped. They didn't trust the share people,
Okay.
And my first 5-6 visits, if not more, was sheer rejection. But for me, see, that's where I'm coming to.
You have a brand, you have an idea, and like you're not getting the,
you're
helping them, but
and that is my core of business. Okay.
Right.
So, but for me, Vriin, I could have easily said, okay, forget it. I will do my business anyway. But for me, my purpose lied there.
Correct.
करना है तो वो करना है, नहीं तो मुझे, I didn't want to run just a clothing brand. Trust me.
Right.
Okay. So that kept me persistent and consistent.
How did you convert them?
So then I think finally I was, मतलब इतना जिद आ गया था, and उन लोगों को भी लगा कि बेचारी इतने बार आ रहे हैं, and then I started with 2 weavers, Vriin.
Okay.
2 जब मान गए ना, तो I said कि चालू करते हैं. It'll flow.
Right.
Okay. And in today's date, I have, like, the word of mouth is spread, okay, among the weaver community also.
Okay.
They know they get work from us. There is consistent, whatever, money which comes from us to the families. So there are weavers from other clusters now who are connecting with us to start working with us.
How many weavers are there with you now?
Currently, we have 432 weaver families. So there are 432 weaver families. So we have like multiple members of the families.
Lovely. But so
2 to 432.
2 to 432. But you know what, now that weavers, many of the the children don't want to take on the profession of their parents,
Huh.
and weaving and all, so they want to maybe go to the city and they want to study. And so what is happening, you think this is continuing?
So that is something which was also one of the reasons why I thought of use of moment, right?
Correct.
But with at least with the weavers I work with, the next generation is seeing hope.
Okay.
They are, sharing the responsibility, because now there is workload. Then there was no money. Now there is workload.
Right.
They don't have an option but to share the workload. Okay. And we are seeing a very gradual positive shift in the mindset of the next generation. But I can comment on that only with the weavers that I am working. There's a huge ocean lying there.
No, but something, I feel that people don't realize, but they just want to shift to Bombay or a big city, or but the kind of life that they would have here, I think they have a more of a dignity of life where they are, and if they get work there,
Absolutely.
and that it's an art that they are doing.
Huge skill.
Yeah.
Like we can become doctors, we can become engineers, but this is like an inherent skill which we can, some easier weaves we can still, but most of the weaves, it's an inherent skill, अगर मैं इतना दिन से जा रही हूँ, but you ask me to weave, I know the techniques of it.
Right.
Okay, but I can't be sitting like, it's a very different ball game, trust me. And if the family doesn't take it forward, it's lost. But I see some hope, at least in my segment of weavers.
When so I've done fashion designing, so I worked for a year and a half or something at Vanity Fair at Kem's Corner. I was designing for them. Guess what? We had one weave, which was the ikat weave. Okay, so the ikat is, I know, I saw it and I remembered. But yeah, that was a typical ikat, the dark maroon color, black color and white. So I remember we designed a cloth, this one kurta for them, and we did not end up thinking about the cost. And ikat is an expensive weave. So, and it's woven in a certain direction.
Right,
and
right.
so accordingly, so we designed a kurta which was an A-line, and it took up a lot of material. Because of that, the cost of the entire thing went high. It was beautiful. So my designer, my boss calls me, the head of the boutique, owner, and she said, you're like, it's not enough to be good designers. You all need to have good whatever. She was blasting us, okay? I remember my junior, I had a person reporting to me, and she was smiling because we did it together, designed the whole thing. I was like, why are you smiling? I asked her later. She said, my boss said I'm a good designer. I was like, did you not hear what came after that? There was this huge tirade which happened. But so whenever I think of an ikat, I have a smile on my face because I have a story. So this is what the story will do to you.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
ikat, now that I see an ikat, and
you remember the incident.
But yeah, accordingly, you know what, I find that I think we were so connected to the handicrafts and to crafts, because I remember studying about the Paithani sari and the Banarsi sari, and now certain saris will continue, Banarsi and all, but if you realize there are so many weaves which are actually getting extinct. People don't know about, the Dhaka sari went completely extinct. That one sari, it could go through an entire ring, one ring it could just pass through. And so which are the weaves which y'all are reviving, or have y'all revived something or are reviving?
So, Vrin, we work extensively in the clusters of Kutch and Bengal.
Okay.
Okay.
So Gujarat and Bengal.
Okay. While we have worked in some other clusters also for certain projects, but in depth we are focusing on Kutch and Bengal. Okay, so Bengal, we've worked with almost 60% of the weaves. There's already also like a 40% remaining.
Okay.
And in Kutch, we've worked with almost 25% of their weaves. Okay, from Kala cotton to the Ajrak hand block print.
That's doing quite well right now. Ajrak is, people are designers are coming up in a big way on Ajrak.
Right. Like in Bengal, we worked with Jamdani. And another very interesting weave I would want to speak to you about is this weave called Kesh. Okay.
Kesh.
K-H-E-S-H.
Kesh.
Okay. So it is not very extensively explored. Okay. It's a beautiful weave where it's upcycled, the weft. You know
Okay.
about warp and weft,
Yes, warp
right?
and weft.
So the weft, we use upcycled saris,
Okay.
old saris, torn into strips,
Huh.
okay, and made into spin into thread, yarn,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
and we use that in the
So warp is the lengthwise
Yeah.
and weft is the breadthwise. So the one which is going through, the
Yes.
shuttle which goes
Yes,
through.
yes.
Okay, so you all use the recycled material.
Old
Oh,
saris,
okay.
stripped like longish strips, okay, and then made into yarn,
Okay.
spinned into yarn. And then in the weft we use that. In warp we use normal handloom cotton.
Wow.
So I think this is the biggest story of upcycling,
Lovely.
within the fabric itself.
Okay.
And we've made that into contemporary dresses,
Oh, wow.
track pant hoodies.
I was not aware of this cage thing. It's such an unusual story. Yeah,
Yes,
lovely.
Yes.
Oh wow, you're reminding me of. Okay, so my mother, she used to do seva. She was a magnet. She was a healer.
Okay.
She was a magnet therapist, and she used to go to there's Prempuri Ashram, at Churni Road.
Yes, heard of it.
So
I've
she
heard
went there 7 years. This is ages back. And the head of Prempuri Ashram was Dr. Madhav Das at that point of time. He's no longer there, but he's expired. I remember going to his house. He actually had the charkha,
Ah.
like sustainability. So they were all Gandhivadis. No? He used to stay near Mani Bhavan, which is Gandhiji's house in Bombay. So believe me, he used to only wear clothes that he himself has woven.
Wow.
There was a charkha in his hall, in the living room, and there was also the weave. So he would first spin the cotton and make it into the thread, and then he would sit on the loom.
He would do it himself.
There was a loom in his room.
Wow.
So the loom was in his bedroom, and we've seen that, but the charkha was in the living room. And he would sit, and when I'm sitting, like, he would get the loom in front of him and he would say, let me make it. And he would make himself.
I would have loved to meet this gentleman.
And guess what? He was a trustee for a mill. But his own clothes, they were hand woven and hand loomed. He would make it himself. Can you imagine
Such
something
an
like
inspiring
that?
man. Yeah, I would have loved to meet him.
Amazing guy. And we remember going to him, and he would give us, he would we would have food in his house, and because he used to call my mom Beti, because she used to do seva for so many years. Every Saturday she used to go there for spend like 5 hours. So, wo sab
But
tha.
friend, I mean, while we are on this topic,
Haan.
the sound of the loom, the cut sound of the loom
Haan.
is meditative for me. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I get into a different space when I'm there with them, and that, the weaving is happening and the cut noise is happening.
Right.
I won't say noise, the
Yeah.
cut sound is happening.
Right.
It's beautiful, beautiful.
No, because I think I need to tell people that when something is printed, it's just a print. It's just colors, and you know what? But here a weave is actual. Like, they are first dyeing the yarn, drying it, putting it in that, and the design is woven, and so weaves. That's why are expensive.
And the beauty of handloom, what it is.
Front and back is same.
No.
Then
The imperfect.
Correct.
Yeah? The more perfection you see in the weave,
Yeah.
means it's machine made, it's not handmade.
Okay.
And no two piece would be like, no 2 meters could be same. Like, there would
Okay.
be some imperfection. And that is what, category of customers, they enjoy wearing all of that.
Yeah.
Because
And they know
there
that
is
this is what is
uniqueness.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is uniqueness, right?
Correct.
ऐसे छाप के बना दिया है, मतलब, ऐसा नहीं है.
Factory में नहीं
Like
बनाया.
even, factory में नहीं बनाया.
Exactly. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Now that, let's also talk about marketing. You've been marketing, you've been there involved in it in so many years, and now at a personal level, you're doing your own brand. How do you think marketing has changed over the years?
Oh, it's changed hugely from
Because-
the time I was just doing marketing to now.
Huh.
It's been a huge transition, and I would say for the better.
Okay.
So when I was handling marketing, core marketing, it was a typical traditional form of marketing, one-way marketing, where it was like pushing products through ads, billboards, brochures.
Hoardings. Those hoardings used to be around.
Hoardings,
Yeah.
brochures, posters. you know.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that doesn't exist, that does exist, but I think now the kind of marketing is very interesting. It's a two-way communication. It is engagement. It is conversation.
Okay.
You know, and there are so many channels. So it's like I'm not selling a product to you. We are having a conversation, and you are deciding to buy a product from me.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that interactive way of communication is gone up now.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a very interesting way to say. I've never heard this before, by the way.
Really?
It's beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that is the biggest shift that has happened.
Okay.
And the digitalization of things, the way digital media has picked up, that's amazing. Okay, and digital media actually, makes us feel so close to the consumer, takes you so close to the consumer. With that comes a responsibility of authenticity. You cannot be bragging about yourself without actually doing the work.
Right.
Because it's all out there. It'll be authentic or inauthentic self will come out. So, with that comes a responsibility of authenticity and the data-driven marketing. That is so beautiful, Vriin, I am not a typical numbers person.
Right.
Like I used to be very scared of maths in school, but obviously business has made me a numbers person.
Right.
And then over the years, last couple of years, I have learned the storytelling of data.
Storytelling of data.
Yeah. Generally we see data, ये business हो रहा है, नहीं हो रहा है, whatever. If you go through every metric of data properly, if you actually define your metrics properly and go through your data properly, okay, you know exactly how your customer thinks, what your customer does at what time of the day, when and how to meet the customer, say hello to a customer. So it's all out there. We just have to sit and...
It's a hassle to get into
No, it's
all
not.
that.
Trust me. Once you get the hang of it, even I used to think that way. Honestly,
Okay.
I used to think that way. But once you get the hang of it, you get addicted to it. It's addictive. Like,
You need to help me.
I'll tell you a story about yesterday.
You need to help me.
Don't get so overwhelmed. Trust me, get so overwhelmed.
Technology overwhelms me. Like literally, I have outsourced everything that I could in technology. Like I do my bit, but let's say you're doing this for me, you're doing that for me, and that's like, because I just cannot handle it. If I get into it, I can't breathe.
That's okay, Vriin. As long as we understand, we need not do it all. See,
Right.
as entrepreneurs or as founders, we cannot be running the show alone, right?
Correct.
But I think we need to equip ourselves or evolve ourselves to learn as much as is needed to
Guide.
understand how technology will help.
Correct.
And get the right people to do it, get the right support system around you to do it.
Right.
You need not do it all. But at the end of the day, the understanding needs to be there.
Yeah, you can't have someone taking you for a ride.
Not at all. So you need to understand how this part of technology will help me, whether it will help me.
Correct.
Okay. How do I measure the metrics like I was talking to you about?
Right.
All of that should be like in your fingertips. Let the execution be done by whoever you outsource it to.
Wow.
Right? And let technology be an enabler, not a barrier, right? Because that's a huge thing that is, I mean, we should embrace it with open arms. Yeah, it's made our lives so easy.
Somewhere I feel that, some things are much easier, but I feel some things in business specifically have become so much more difficult. Like, now you have okay, so I'm a coach and, trainer. So as my coaching business, place an ad and that Instagram page has to open and, something, or the Facebook page has to open, and it's to take you to the payment gateway, to take you there. Like, there are so many things, and then the WhatsApp web has to get integrated, and there has to be a chat bot. And when I start thinking of all that, I get very overwhelmed. It's like I have to outsource everything.
So there are two calls we need to take here. One is whether we want to outsource it.
Right.
We outsource it. If we want to do it ourselves, we practice till the time it becomes like bayat ka khel for us.
Nice.
And answering a question about this shift in marketing, I think we need to be a learner, lifelong learner. And it's not only about marketing. I think
Everything.
it's a life mantra for me.
Right.
You know, you have to have a curious mind, okay, very curious mind,
Huh.
and you should not stop asking questions. If I may use this word here, you should be asking the stupidest of questions
And not be scared of asking.
not thinking that, you know,
Yeah.
oh, you know, like it'll embarrass me, or, you know, what will people think of me. No, you are stepping back from your learning graph by thinking that way. Don't do that.
Right.
Be curious, ask questions, and be a lifelong learner.
Wow.
That applies to your marketing question, and I think a mantra of life and entrepreneur that I follow.
Yeah. Okay, you know, when we started Prathaa, so there was, COVID also happened, you know, and is there any difference in the way you handle things pre-COVID or post-COVID? Many entrepreneurs come to me and they tell me that, you know, post-COVID, we changed this, we changed that, or we did, because I think COVID has taught a very big lesson to most people.
Oh, yes.
What was your biggest lesson from COVID?
Wonderful question. Again, I have too much to say, but I'll just highlight upon a few of it. Okay. COVID, obviously, we were non-essential item, and we took a huge hit during COVID. A lot of my colleagues in the industry had to shut down business, you know. When we emerged out of it, the first note of celebration is like we've survived it, you know. But COVID taught us, I'm not going into the personal bit as long as my business is concerned. A lot of stories and incidents happened during COVID, you know, while we were struggling with sales. Not obviously, there was zero sales, okay. And I had retained my core employees. People who wanted to go back to their hometown on their own, I let them go. But I was paying salaries to my employees throughout COVID. And terrible struggle, okay. In the peak of COVID, when everything is shut down, okay, I see these orders coming in on the website, okay.
Okay.
I'm like fretting over it that, oh my God, orders, they'll expect me to send by 5 days, 7 days. And
There's a deadline, obviously, yeah.
So I send them messages, no replies. I called up the customers. I'm saying, listen, we are cancelling the orders for now. We'll update you whenever things start working. So I tried all my way to cancel the orders, okay? The customer would not budge.
But how did you get on the website? So there was a number or something involved?
So numbers and everything are involved. So there were these 2-3 customers who I knew. They were like repeat customers, okay? I called them up first. What are you all doing? I mean, you know, the logistics partner's not working. Right. How do you even expect us to, my karigar is not coming to work. So then when they figured out that, okay, this girl is not understanding, we know that you have a cash flow issue now. Just stay put with the orders. You can send the orders even 1 year later. You know? So the trust that they, you know, had on me, and cash flow issue didn't even surface in my mind till then. But they thought of it and were like ready to place orders just to maintain Prathaa's cash flow.
Wow.
Okay, and that was the day I felt that, okay, I think we have done something meaningful.
Yeah.
You know? And then after a few days, two of my NRI customers got in touch with me saying that, you know, we know that it's tough times and we was not getting enough orders, whatever. We would like to donate something for the week.
Okay.
And I was like dancing, okay, wow. I mean, some light to the dark days, you know. I went back to the weavers. I said, okay, you know, call kiya maine. I said, you know, let's figure out how do we, you know, this dollar's coming, so let's figure out how to disperse the payments and all of that. Silent, okay. And then they tell me that, दीदी हम लोगों को काम के बदले में पैसा चाहिए, वैसे नहीं चाहिए, और हम लोगों को यकीन है आपके साथ जुड़े रहेंगे तो काम आएगा.
Oh my God.
And I had that flashback moment of rejection.
Let's, you know, say the same thing in English, because I'm sure there are certain, you know, people looking, I mean, this has to be said.
Yeah. So they told me that we don't want work, we don't want money without work, okay? Wow. And we are confident that if we are with you, okay, we trust that if we are with you, we will be getting consistent work. So, and this was something which immediately I went to that flashback mode when they were not willing to work with
I
me.
was just going to
the
say
rejection.
The rejection. 5-6 times you visited the villages and they were not working with you.
Yes, yes.
And now look at like what they've come
Yes,
through. Wow,
yes.
the journey.
So a lot of reflection and realizations happened through the pandemic phase. You know, I
Wow.
knew I had a rock solid community of customers. I knew I had a rock solid weaver and artisan community there
Right.
by me, and they established it with whatever they did and said during this time. You
Correct.
know, so trust is something, you know, which we build over the
I
years.
think, you know, when we mentioned earlier, you know, the traits of an entrepreneur, I guess trust, I think trust for me is there.
Yes, yes.
You know, if trust is not there, you know, you cannot take people across with you, you cannot.
I didn't even mention that as a trait because authenticity comes very naturally to me. You know? So
Correct.
I'm sorry I didn't mention that.
No, but
that is
imagine, but
important,
trust is so important, being genuine, you know, and I think when you're genuine, it just flows
Shows,
to
yeah.
you, it shows. People, you know, by the way, you know, I have this very stupid thing which I do, okay? So when I'm called as a speaker as well, na? So there's one thing where I was called somewhere and they asked me that what is it about, why genuineness or why trust or something like that. And I just believe me, I just did this one thing. I said, okay, if I am telling you, oh please trust me, I am there, okay? Anytime, just please give me a call. And that's the same thing I tell you, okay, just give me a call anytime, I am available, just let me know. I said, which person will you trust, the first one or the second one? So everyone said the second one. So I said, but then why do people in their lives behave like the first one? So if you are realizing that someone is not genuine, the other person is also realizing. It's just the fact that, you know, we think we are being over smart by doing that, but the other person is definitely, and they kind of take a step back. They will never come to you again. So your genuineness definitely shows through.
Absolutely.
So this is what builds up the trust. Okay, there's one more question.
Yes.
You might think it a little odd. My HR spirit is kind of, okay. You know, we have this Gen Z and we have millennials and we have, you know, whatever.
Yes, yes.
The weaves and everything are something because you're reviving something which is very old, very traditional. But this current generation, I don't think they really appreciate what are weaves, what is handloom or something. So when you have such people working with you, not all are weavers and, you know, the current people, how do you make them realize this?
How do I make the weavers realize?
No, I think the people like your, maybe people who are working with you, maybe people who are, you know, because this generation and people who are now, you know, maybe don't have that background of fashion designing or something. They don't know what weaves are. How can you educate them about, you have something, because you're so passionate about this, how can you translate that into making them understand what weaves are? I hope I'm able to explain this question. Is it
Can you repeat it again?
okay? Like somewhere I feel like, okay, if I have to look at my sister or my friend, or, you know, the daughters of my friend, they are, when I talk about weaves, they blank out. What is a weave? They don't know the smell of the weave. They don't know how the weave is different. Somewhere I feel, how do you, you know, obviously you have employees working with you, you have people coordinating for you, and they also need to live and breathe Prathaa, right?
Absolutely.
How do you encourage that?
So a couple of things, Vrin. While the Gen Z are not aware of details of weaves,
Right.
okay, but they are very sustainability conscious. You know, they are very eco-conscious. You know, all that is there in their
Right.
DNA right now.
That is there, correct.
Yeah. So if you can weave the weave story to this, which because for us sustainability and eco-consciousness goes hand in hand with the
Right.
weave story,
Correct.
right? And also for my employees, there is a proper training session which goes, and I take them
Oh,
to
you
the
do that.
clusters. Yeah, I take them to
Okay.
the clusters. There is interaction and all of that.
Okay.
For the outsiders, again, Gen Z who are not directly in touch with me, couple of things that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to speak to I already go for sessions to design colleges like
Okay.
NIFT, Pearl, Amity, okay?
Okay.
And also non-design colleges. Like in the design colleges already I've started, and the other places I'm trying to convince them to build it as a part of the, small portion of the curriculum. Again, I'm a drop in the ocean. I don't know whether I'll be successful in doing that. Okay. The other part from the consumer's perspective, young adults as my consumers, weave story, etc. While we do all the communication journey, like I mentioned to you, in terms of, in this form of storytelling, behind the scenes, we are creating, designing contemporary designs in, for example, a ikkat or a kala cotton or jamdani, which appeals to the young adults. Maybe a spaghetti top in jamdani or shorts in ikkat,
Cool.
So, and there, in the journey also, I'm telling the story about the ikkat or the jamdani.
Right.
So these are these small elements that, I have tried to add.
Lovely.
And
what about your employees? How do you educate them?
I told you we have a proper training program.
Okay.
I take them to the clusters. Okay. They are introduced like hands-on experience.
So they actually hold the fabric in their hand.
And they see the entire process.
Okay.
The first lot of training happens in office, and then obviously everybody is not involved in everything.
Right.
But people who will be directly involved in textiles, I take them to the clusters. Okay. But like now you talk to my Karigar, my master, they will give you lessons on Jamdani and Kesh and, Ajrak and everything. They are like, because they are into it day in and day, and we speak the same language within the team, and, they see us speaking that. So I think you have to lead by example, right? Not by just putting in information. So
and also I find that, the weaves and all, the handloom, it smells differently.
I told you.
It has a different feel to it. It's like, it is different.
I'll tell you something in this, okay? While we were talking about training the people and all of that, like my team and all of that. So there is a structured training process which is there.
Right.
But the first step to, obviously it is about differentiating between a power loom and a handloom,
exactly.
right? There are a lot of technicalities. We train we educate our customers also on that. There are a lot of technicalities, how the thread looks, how messy it is versus how clean it is, all of that. But the first thing I tell them is, just pick up any of our fabrics from the office, hold it close to you.
Take care.
Okay. You'll find the warmth of human energy in it.
Oh, wow.
Because everything is hand woven, right? And there's an energy transfer, emotion transfer. I mean, the weaver would have lived 3 months of his life weaving that sari of yours. Right?
Obviously.
So 3 months of his life is gone in this.
Yeah.
And they would think I'm crazy. They would laugh at me, But with time, even they, you have to give it time to feel it.
Yeah, it grows on you.
Right.
It grows on you. I love this because, people who don't understand weaves don't understand that somebody has spent months just making that one fabric for you.
Lived his 3 months life, weaving this. So there's so much of energy transfer, emotion transfer. So much has happened with that.
Seriously.
And it's all hand woven.
Okay, before we end, there's one thing which you also mentioned, and it's also close to my heart, sustainability. You mentioned, Gen Zs and everything. Now, so sustainability is something that I've always practiced. At least in my own life, I will ensure water gets used less, and I'm not using more than half a bucket for my bath, and so I've got all those things in my mind. Like I don't buy extra. And whatever I donate it to people like who can use it, or I like to recycle things. So in today's day and age, I think fashion extras, fashion discards is a very, very big issue. So when Prathaa here, what do you think about sustainability? You all are, NUJ is a sustainable brand. You all are coming up with, I think you are beautiful in that. But what are when you think about Prathaa and sustainability, what comes to your mind?
Okay, before I answer your question, I always call Prathaa a conscious fashion brand.
Love.
Because I feel that sustainability is the destination.
Okay.
And there's lots to do to, reach the destination. We are in the conscious fashion journey. We are trying to reach the destination consciously.
Right.
So that's why, although sustainability is a key word now, okay, and my marketing team would like me to use sustainability as a term because it's a key word, but I address Prathaa as a conscious fashion
mindful brand.
A mindful brand. And when I started Prathaa, sustainability was nowhere in the scene. You know, it wasn't a keyword then. I started Prathaa with that same, reviving weaves and art and providing sustainable livelihood to the weavers and artisans. And I did business the way I lead my life. You know, till one fine day, I get approached by a media house who wanted a quote on sustainability. And I was like, oh, hello, am I a sustainable brand? I mean, what are you talking about? And then we get back to the drawing board and we figure out that actually we've been ticking off a lot of, check boxes of sustainability.
Right.
But honestly, I just did that. It wasn't a conscious effort, you know. I just did business the way I led my life.
Amazing, amazing.
So coming to that in Prathaa, by default, things have happened in an eco-conscious manner because I have lived my life. Like we've grown up seeing, curtains, bed sheets being upcycled into curtains.
Seriously,
And, I have upcycled my dadu's lungi into a skirt without knowing the term upcycling then.
My mother's lehenga, what she wore for her reception, I have worn for occasions. वो पूरा, they संभाल के रखते हैं, like proper, it is like kept in layers. And we've lived our life according, and we were very proud to wear it. Like I'm wearing that, It's, and
so coming again, sorry, I got too many stories, so I'm digressing a little bit. So coming back to Prathaa or any fashion brand, I think you should plan your production in a very strategic manner to avoid waste, and that comes with experience, that comes with data. Again, I'm coming back to data, So if I know that, okay, these 50 are my hero products or these 10 are my hero products, S and M are my highest selling prices. So I have to plan my production very strategically to avoid waste, I have to understand that, the technicalities of cutting, I need to guide my production team in the technicalities of cutting, which would ensure less production.
Right.
Okay.
Ensure less waste.
Less waste. Okay. Also find ways of upcycling the pre-retail waste that you're creating.
Which you're doing.
Having
Your
said
cache and all is like...
Cache is a fabric that we are using. But back in our office, we have a different section who just handles the pre-retail waste. We have the local women in the neighborhood who visits our office once a week. We teach them designs of accessories and headbands and fanny bags and small stuff. They take back the scrap home. They make those, and next week they get more. We teach them more designs. So that happens parallelly with Prathaa, which upcycles waste and also creates interesting products and provides livelihood to another set of women here.
Beautiful.
Like some financial independence for them, which they do in the midst of their household activities.
Amazing. Amazing.
So
I mean, I can just imagine like 432 households of weavers plus so many houses here. So you can imagine the kind of economic freedom that you are. No, but you know what? I'll tell you what, you're not the only one. I think there are so many people working at the grassroots level. And I think this is, so people, I remember hearing somebody talk and they said that, we always thought that politicians run the country. But now we know that it is run by entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. Like in IIM Bangalore, I did an entrepreneurship module. So we used to be in awe of the IIM Bangalore professors, such big people, right?
Right.
So knowledgeable people. But on the day of our convocation, the kind of respect with which they spoke to us, saying that, what are we doing? We are just in a comfort space and teaching. Look at the movement that you all are bringing around. And we are in awe of you. And we were moved. And then we reflected within to realize that, actually, it's each one of us, I think, it's a huge change that we are bringing.
And your degree was, I think, in entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So amazing. And I wish you the best.
Thank you so much,
I loved having you here.
It was so lovely to relive my journey of Prathaa along with you, because in the daily hustle, it just fizzles out somewhere. So it was like me reliving my dream along with you right now, and it was a beautiful experience.
You're amazing. I wish Prathaa the best.
Thank you so much.
And I really want more people to start thinking about the gaps in their lives, because those are the gaps that they are meant to fill. If they are, they are realizing the gap, that means they are instrumental in now closing those gaps. So when you realize a gap, you know that this is a gap, okay, I can fill it. So I think that is something, and that is how the entrepreneur journey will start for most people. So
Right.
amazing conversation.
So entrepreneurs just need to stay focused on their purpose,
Yes.
be flexible in the path,
Yeah.
and just be unstoppable in this.
Totally.
And they'll get there.
Yeah. We are all reaching there. We are all
Right.
taking steps to,
Right.
and I think, and along with, we are taking so many other people, and I think that's what I love about you. You're not doing it alone. You're taking so many people along with you.
We can't do alone, like anything. I mean, okay, my vision is very different.
Right.
But I think anything we want to like build big, it's not feasible to be doing it alone.
Yeah.
I think collaboration is the key.
Correct.
Everywhere, be it your team, be it extended team, whoever. So for me, these guys are my team. The weavers are my team. So there are people. Sorry, I mean I don't know.
Tell me,
whether we have time.
please go ahead.
But like when what I'm doing, like just now you said that's so good you're doing this. There are people who tell me, oh, you're doing so much for the weavers. I am there, or Prathaa is there because of them.
Yeah.
It's not the other way. It's not like, oh, I'm like
And
doing
they're
great or whatever.
self-respecting people. They don't want to take donation.
Yeah.
And nobody during COVID.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, hats off.
Exactly.
Hats off to such people.
So I
and
am
hats
here,
off to
Pratha's here because of them. Because honestly, Prathaa wouldn't have existed if I would have given in to that rejection.
you.
That way.
Yeah, amazing. So nice to meet you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.